US warns of Russian efforts to sow doubt over upcoming elections around the globe.
Here's a summary of the article.
The US is warning nearly 100 countries that Russian intelligence is opening a new front in its efforts to destabilize democracies by amplifying doubts about the legitimacy of vote counting in elections, senior government officials said Friday. Russia has long advocated overtly and covertly for candidates it backs to win elections in other countries, but intelligence officials say they have recently identified a new tactic, sowing doubts about the reliability of democracy itself. Russia is pursuing operations to degrade public confidence in the integrity of elections themselves, the US stated in a cable sent this week to embassies in more than 90 countries to be passed on to those governments. The warning comes before next year's presidential elections in the US, where Trump is the heavy favorite to win his party's nomination, and elections in other democracies, including for the European Union Parliament in June of 2024. In its warning to other nations, the US said a review of elections between 2020 and 2022 found 11 separate contests in 9 countries where Russia engaged in a concerted effort to undermine confidence in election outcomes. In one South American country's election, the document states, Russian telegram channels included false coverage of alleged fraud, and Russian trolls across a range of social media websites sought to amplify concerns about post-election instability. The US has long targeted Russia as an agitator in US elections, saying it was behind an influence campaign aimed at elevating Trump in the 2016 presidential election and accessing voter registration data in Illinois the same year.
This post received a score of 3,900, with an upvote ratio of 96%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
2024 is going to have a lot of important elections too, so brace for the worst.
And some Russian oligarch just bought Forbes. So that's neat.
Why was that allowed? Because money.
Because greed and corruption.
They have been and still are doing it. Guarantee Russia and even China have huge propaganda wings dedicated to changing the USA public's opinions via social media.
Greater than propaganda wings dedicated to changing the USA public's opinions via social media. It's also happening with the conflict in Palestine, Israel. Russia, China, and Iran have common interests with each other, and Iran has a direct connection with multiple insurgency, terrorist groups in the region. I'm sure Russia wouldn't mind at all if US attention and resources were diverted away from Ukraine and to the ME.
Look at what China does to native Uyghurs.
That warning is about 10 years late.
At this point it's like, duh, to anybody paying attention. Russia, USSR, did this long before the internet was a thing. It's a little more effective with the advent of the internet, social media, AI.
America really needs to ramp up its PSYOPs defense. Russia is going all in on influence campaigns, because what else can they do? America needs to be countering with its own resources to discredit misinformation and lies, and ensure the population has the skills to determine between objective reality and fiction.
You forget, but half the country hates fact-checkers and accountability. Confirmation bias is the new truth for both sides.
There's no good reason that Russia should be able to attack us in a way we can't defend against. We have vastly more resources. Anything they can do, we can do better. We can do anything better than them, yes we can. It's not on the citizens to defend against foreign powers. That's a government agency responsibility.
The problem is, this is a population that wants the world to be simple, and hates hearing some nasally egghead Poindexter clear their throat and say, actually, in our complex and interconnected world, there is a fundamental limit to how simple a statement can be and still be true. Lies have no flaw.
In the age of 10-second TikToks and people mostly just reading headlines and jumping to conclusions, it's very easy to sway an average person to think how you want them to think. People either don't have the time or the will to hear nuance. And monetary incentives are there too. People are making entire income streams from intentionally being divisive and sensationalist on Twitter, for example. It's scary and probably one of the dark sides of social media no one predicted 15 years ago.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.